Sharon hails from Israel, and not only a beautiful place, but to come here and just be able to tell you about the technology as partnering with us. We're very proud of that. So please give a big, really big AWS and NAB round of applause for our friend Sharon. And this is Sharon Carmel from Beamr. The company's doing fantastically well. Are you ready, my friend? Take it away.
Thank you very much. So, let's start by talking about AV1. We'll do a short recap what AV1 is, so we will be on the same page. So it's a standard. It's the latest standard for video, from the Alliance of Open Media, started by Google, joined by Amazon, Apple, Meta, and many others. And this is a standard that was introduced back in 2018, and it has a lot of support in devices, in TVs, software players, and it's been around. Still, we're going to talk about, some difficulties in the adoptions of AV1 and how Beamr really contribute to that process, and also a special announcement of our new offering on AWS. So, that's not the one. That's the one. All right. So I'm Sharon Carmel, founder and CEO for Beamr. Company is traded on NASDAQ under the ticker Beamr. And we've done a lot through the years. I started with a company called Emblaze that actually created the first application call processors for video for Samsung mobile phones. We have the team created the first ABR patents. It wasn't called ABR back then. And back in 1998, and we did the first streaming from the White House, Easter egg roll. Easter is almost here. Back in 1998, streaming from the White House. Yes, that's a little bit about me. Let's talk about the company. So Beamr are, of course, partners with AWS, and we also partnered with NVIDIA. Our core technology is called Content Adaptive Bitrate. Content Adaptive Bitrate is the way to control a video encoder in a way that we can maximize compression without degrading the visual quality. And this is what we've been known for. We had customers, reputable customers. Netflix is our customer, Paramount are our customers, and we take great pride of these achievements. Beamr also won an Emmy Award back in 2021. And at that exact time, we were invited by NVIDIA to bring our technology to GPU. And the reason that NVIDIA invited us to actually bring our technology to GPU is to make the GPU hardware that is responsible for video encoding so much more efficient. So we bring about 40% efficiency for video coding on NVIDIA GPUs. So you will get the same quality at 40% less bits. Hardware encoders are known to be very, very fast, but the quality is always somewhat inferior to what you can get with a software encoder. But with Beamr, we're kind of leveling the playing field because we're adding 40% efficiency. And suddenly it is fast, but the quality is also very high. And this is part of the magic that Beamr brings into this equation. Patented technology, we have about 50 patents for this technology, and I will tell you more about it. So a little bit about AV1. These are exaggerated numbers. I looked at it this morning and I said to my folks, okay, who put these numbers here? So I would like to do some explanations. If you're buying a new 4K TV, there's more than 80% chance that it will have an AV1 decoder. It doesn't mean that 80% of the TVs out there supports AV1, but it means that if we count from today or from last year, 80% of the TVs, at least in the future, will have AV1 support, and this is going to grow. So the adoption on TVs is actually there. The 30 to 50% number, that's real. Okay, this is the amount of savings that Beamr Content Adaptive Bitrate would add to any video standard, whether it is AVC, HEVC, or AV1. If you're looking at the benchmarks of browsers, so browsers supports AV1 either in software or hardware on most of the PCs. So Google Chrome supports AV1 on most of the PCs out there. Obviously, Safari and others, support AV1. So there's lots of availability there. And if you buy a new smartphone from a reputable provider, whether it is Samsung or Xiaomi or Apple, it will have AV1 decoding. And for those who doesn't have AV1 decoding in hardware, it works in software, and it's pretty neat. So it can work for long session, etc. Point made is that AV1 adoption is there. It cannot be your only video standard probably. You probably want to have a baseline AVC because it's been there forever. It's going to stay for a while. But if you want to have a second standard that has much higher efficiency, you want to go with AV1. But there's a few hurdles, to adopt AV1. And again, so many things already happened. And I think Beamr today announces one more bit that I will touch on soon that will make it even, one step further in global adoption of AV1. So first of all, high cost. The computational complexity of a new encoder is usually about 5 times higher than the previous gen. So if we're talking AV1 versus HEVC, it's 3 to 5 times more complicated. The previous generation AVC, probably 15 to 25 times less complicated than AV1. That means more compute resources, which means the cost is higher. But this is also affecting the speed. If you need more computational resources, then it will be slower to encode. And for that, you need acceleration and optimization, which is happening all the time. And this is still, more compute resources it's slower to run. And then there's the worry about quality. So when you have a new standard and it says that it is 20% better than HEVC or twice as good as AVC, that's on average. But does it work for your content? This is something that each and every company here that is dealing with streaming media needs to find what is called a recipe, that works for their content. And that's a lot of experiment, and that's a lot of expertise. CABR, Content Adaptive Bitrate from Beamr, solves that in a way that we are actually, we will adopt, and we are only going to allocate the bits that are needed. So if you have like a 6 megabit stream for 1080, and you think that maybe you can get it down to 4 megabits or 5 megabit, and you debate on that, and then you will run experiments, for a year before you know how it's going to converge. If you're using CABR, dial in your 6 megabits, and we will take it down to 3 megabits on average because it's content adaptive. When you need the 6 megabits, we will use the 6 megabits. When we will require only 2 megabits, it will be 2 megabits. But the efficiency is automatic, and your CDN cost is going to get much lower using CABR. So what we're basically saying is that all of these points that I was just bringing up as problems are actually mitigated with CABR running on GPUs. Think about a GPU as a state machine that is the same effort for a GPU to run AVC encoding, HEVC encoding, and AV1 encoding. And because we ported all of our technology to GPU, we can offer AV1 encoding at H.264 or AVC prices. And this is what we're announcing today. I will tell you a little bit more in a few seconds. First of all, quality is guaranteed. I was just explaining that. And performance. Performance running AV1 on GPU, it can run 4K P60 live, and it will have a 1 frame latency. So every 16 milliseconds, you're going to get a frame. And this is constant because it's a hardware accelerated. If I compare it, to software benchmarks that are, that can produce similar quality, probably they won't run 4K P60 live, and it will be anyways about 3 times slower when you're talking about VOD. So if turnaround time matters, then of course hardware acceleration is a good solution. Let's talk about the percentage of savings, because this is a little bit, again, it's not a complicated math, but it has a surprise here. So when you're moving from AVC to AV1, you will get about 50% of the bits. So that's X2. With content adaptive, you will get 15 to 30% more over the top. So it will be between 65% to 80%. Now, when you think about multipliers, if 50% is time 2, 65% is almost times 3, and 80% is times 5. So with CABR, your bit rate will not be half, it will be a third to 1/5 of the original. And that's a big deal. That's a big deal. Think about your storage costs, think about your CDN costs, and that's a big difference. That's the magical part of my presentation. So what you see here is a two-dimensional chart, bitrate on the horizontal X and quality on the vertical using VMAF. In that case, the green bar is the NVEnc hardware AV1 out of the box that you get with NVIDIA. The white graph is actually CABR running the same hardware AV1 encoder, but the rate control is now Beamr. So you're getting, on average, 40% less bits. And if you can see, every corresponding point is a bit higher on the graph. So it is higher quality at lower bit rate, same hardware running underneath. Okay, the only difference that this is using the CABR technology from Beamr. And that's magic. Takes forever to do, but when it works, it's magic. Let's talk about prices. So if you're comparing what we have, so again, Beamr is, you can use it on-prem, but you can also use it on the cloud. And Beamr is available on AWS Marketplace, and our prices for SD, HD, and UHD for 264 are 0.6 cents, about 1 cent, and 2 cents for UHD per minute of video encoding. This is for H.264. For AV1, it is the same price, which is essentially 1/16 of the cost of competing solutions. Just think about it. It is just over 4% of our competitors' costs, which is mind-blowing. And this is not because we're giving money away. It is because of GPU acceleration that it is so much faster. It is so efficient. We can still make a good business out of it and offer you an outstanding price for GPU accelerated. You're not compromising on quality. You're definitely getting the speed. And of course, the cost is, I think, a very good enabler, especially if you're carrying a lot of video. This is not the end of it, but we are available, of course, on AWS, and we have seamless integration with S3. If you go to beamr.com, you can actually purchase Beamr through the marketplace or get a free license of 100 gigabyte and just check it out. You can connect it to your S3 bucket without writing a single line of code. You can create pipelines for your ABR, whether it is HLS or Dash. You can do it automatically without writing a single line of code. If you want to use API, use our APIs. But this is, very seamless, very easy to use. And let's talk about the magic of GPUs. So besides all of the goodies and the AV1 adoption, the fact that CABR is running on GPU brings a whole level of capabilities and options. Everybody talks about AI, right? It's affecting everything that we do. And again, video is not only watched by humans, now it is actually being understood by machines. So you can run a video workflow that actually runs on GPU, and you can, at the same time that you're analyzing, that you're compressing your video, you can analyze what's in the video. You can identify objects, and you can do sort of many other magical things. And let me show you a few examples. So once you extract the data, you can actually run a visual enhancements. If you come and watch our presentation, then you will see, that we can run super resolution. We can take SD content, turn it to 4K. Okay, it can be done at the same time that you can turn SD to 4K and then optimize compression with AV1, everything on the same GPU, which is pretty amazing. You can learn what's in the video. For example, let's say that you're a social network, and you want to know when you're running the video compression if this is actually infringing on copyrights. Maybe this content shouldn't go out. Somebody put content that they shouldn't. This is usually something that is done separately. If it's running on GPU, you can run it together. And let me show you a little bit of more detail around that. all of the video pipelines that I know today that runs AI are two separate pipelines. You have one pipeline for video encoding and one pipeline for AI to analyze what's in the video, to tag it, to run video search, what have you. And you need to load the video twice on two separate pipelines. They're asynchronous. They're running on different machines. You need to decode the video twice. You need to place it in memory twice, and then you run your logic, whether it is the optimized encoding by Beamr or the analysis. Then you need to sync them, because maybe that video was infringing on copyrights. You want to actually flush it and not allow it out. And you want to maybe analyze and to know what's the right placement for this video, what advertisement you should display. And this is all done with AI. And these are two unsynchronized workflows that everybody is using today. Sorry? So you have a GPU running all of your AI, and you'll have a GPU or a CPU or a VPU running your video encoding. This is very inefficient, and this is how everybody works today. If you're running on GPU, this is how your future workflow should look like. You have a single load, a single decode. There's a shared memory buffer that runs for the video encoder and the analyzer that does the AI stuff, and it's also already synchronized and out. This is faster, more cost efficient, and it creates a better result. And the reason that this is creating a better result is that the encoder can give actually hints to the AI, what's in the video. For example, scene changes. So it can give hints to actually the AI and make more reliable decisions. AI can tell the video encoder, a little bit more about the context and what's important. So when these are running together, it is not just cheaper, it is not just faster, it is better. And this is why we call, video on GPU AI ready. And I think, the missing, part of the puzzle that we're trying to share with everybody here today is that what you really need is you need to rely on the quality. And this quality gap of the 40% efficiency that Beamr adds to video encoding on GPU is leveling the playing field. You should try encoding with Beamr on GPUs and see, whether this is actually the same quality that you're expecting. And we have a lot of benchmark to share with you, and the quality is there. It is not inferior to anything else that you're using, and this is the magic of it. The pricing is amazing, performance is amazing, and I just encourage everybody, to test it out. So I would love to answer any questions. If anyone has any questions, that would be a very good time.
Anybody have any questions for Sharon? Great presentation. That's a lot of, it's pretty amazing how you guys put it all together. And, I guess success comes from a lot of work, a lot of good brains, a lot of tireless days, right? I mean, just, my God.
And a very good team.
And a very good team, right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Including Kobe. And you know what? We were talking about a mutual friend, Igor, who's with BitMoon, who was here just before you, so I screwed that up. But you look good sitting there, so thank you for being here too. I want to give a big round of applause, but if I do it by myself, it won't sound good. So you guys need to give a huge round of applause to Sharon. Thank you, buddy. Sharon Carmel, the CEO of Beamr, and what great accomplishments. Thank you for such a good presentation.
Thank you very much.
And much, much luck in the future. Great success. Thank you for partnering with AWS.
Thank you.